You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So earlier this year, I ended a relationship and cut off an engagement from a great man. He was a good man. He loved God. He was a praying man. He loved and adored me. He was there for me. He was handsome. He was well educated. He didn't have any kids. He checked all the boxes. But there was still something missing. And I just knew that I could not go through with this marriage. There was just something that did not connect. I felt that there was should have been a connection between he and I in order for me to be his wife. And so I cut off the engagement. And it was so difficult because he was a good man. It's easy when a person is not good. You can justify why you cut things off, but when a person is truly a good person, it's hard to explain. So I found myself trying to explain it to family and friends, and they were asking me a whole bunch of questions that, I could not say, exactly why, other than the fact that I just did not feel the connection. There was something that was not there that I needed to be there in order for this to be my husband. And so I stopped trying to explain it and I just trusted my decision and I went on. But then I got an epiphany and it was just like, have you ever been shoe shopping and you saw a nice pair of shoes and it's like, ooh, I love the color. I love the style. The heel is the right size and it's a reasonable price. Like it's on sale and it's a good shoe.
So let's just get into a few comments before I give my main opinion. This woman said, if you don't feel it, you just don't feel it. I'm married now, but I remember a couple of good guys back in the day that I just couldn't get into it. No matter how many boxes they checked, so glad I held out for my husband. She later replied to another person by stating, exactly, people spiritually tuned in have discernment that will inexplicably tell them no, even when their physical mind tells them yes. Boxes can be checked, but that can still be the wrong person for you. Folks ignore that at their own peril. In a later reply, she said, you could be right. Sadly, I've personally known women who've ignored this and have gone through with marriages because he checked the right boxes and they didn't want to let people down. Every last one of them ended up miserable and divorced. One of these perfect men went to prison for heinous things his wife had no idea he was doing to others. Had she listened to her gut, her world wouldn't have been turned upside down. He checked all the boxes, though.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Okay, I'm just going to be real. This woman wanted to specifically put herself in this instance in order to prove a point, in order to have a leg to stand on in a conversation that had very little to nothing to do with her and her situation. Just because she decided to skip out on some good guys that she knew back in the day and hold out for the guy, quote unquote, as if she knew, as if she had hindsight or whatever it was, like she had a crystal ball, like she knew that, okay, well, I'm going to skip out on these guys because I know that the next guy coming is going to be my husband. Just because you had that instance does not mean that that is the same exact instance for other women. You've legitimately had women that skipped out on good guys and they went out for other guys and then nothing. Then they got dropped and left with a multitude of kids, never married, and all these other types of problems and situations that you see women talking about on social media. 1000% ridiculous. And then on top of that, she wanted to then try to add, well, this is what happens when you follow your mind and you decide that this guy checks all of the boxes. She still picked the wrong guy. So look at that there. She wanted to throw that in there. So she did two things at once, trying to cancel out one main thing, which is the most craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. She basically gave you a situation where it's like, okay, well, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. That's basically what she did. That's basically what she did. And then she tried to put herself on this type of pedestal to, in a sense, say that, well, if you do exactly what I did, as a woman, then this could be where it is for you. Look at the examples that I have of my friends in contrast to how it is for me. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's 1,000% crazy. So you mean to tell me that every single woman that you know that you are friends with, this is their same situation where the guy was just doing heinous things or they're just all miserable and divorced? Really, you might want to change your circle of friends. You might want to change your circle of friends. Or how about the fact that maybe, just maybe, just an off chance, right? Just maybe it was the women. Maybe they were the problem. Because again, we hear so many times on social media and through these podcasts and on what was one of the Vogue and all of these women magazines and blogs, right? Women will always state how the guy is imperfect, how the guy needs to change, how the guy needs to upgrade, how the guy needs to do this, how the guy needs to do that, how the guy is not ever doing enough, right? Women are the only ones complaining. So what if it's actually the woman that is being the one that is dismantling that relationship, that is corrupting that relationship, that's breaking apart that relationship? Because 9 times out of 10, when it comes to women, a lot of women think that they are perfect, right? Notice how the woman that you were able to hear speak, she stated, this guy, he checked all the right boxes. He was this, that, and the third, all these other types of things. Notice how she didn't list anything about herself. She said that this guy was perfect. So if we are to compare, right, he's perfect. So then what does that make her? She didn't list that, oh, I'm this type of woman, I'm that and the third. And she couldn't. Because at the end of the day, she said it without saying it. She said that she was the problem. She wanted to give this analogy about shoes and how they can be perfect, the right price and all this, but it's just something there that's just not right. No, the thing that's just not right is you. The shoe might be perfect, but it just might not be, right, the shoe that you are able to fit. Because let's say maybe you got some foot problems. Maybe your big toe is just too large for those shoes. Maybe if there's shoes that are like sandal like, maybe your feet aren't made to be shown off, right? It's not the shoe creator, it's not the maker, it's not the factory. Sweetheart, champ, it's you. Too many times women will come out here and they'll talk about all of these guys. And again, they will never list the imperfections about themselves. They will never sit up there and tell you how the fact of that no matter what a guy does, that it'll never be enough. That no matter what a guy, happens to give her or the actions that he walks with, in meaning, that it's just not going to be that thing. Because a lot of women have a pre-written script in their mind of how it is that these things are supposed to go. They have a pre-drawn up guy of how it is that he's supposed to be, the things that he is supposed to do, the things that he is supposed to say, how it is that he's supposed to walk, how it is that he is supposed to talk, how it is that he's supposed to dress, how it is that he's supposed to spend money, what type of job he is supposed to, be able to hold down, the type of house that he is supposed to buy for her, the type of ring. They have all of this stuff written down. All of this stuff written down. You literally just heard a woman state that no man out here could ever make her happy. But she still pins it on the guy instead of pinning it on her. But let me take it to a further extent, right? The main extent that a lot of women don't actually want to talk about. The main reason why it is that chances are very great that this guy did not match up to her expectations of perfection is more than likely that he was lacking certain things directly in the bedroom of which she needed or she wanted. A lot of women, if you go out on social media, you spend some time on blogs, even on Facebook and all these other types of things. Trust me, I've read it on Facebook, right, over the years. I've seen YouTube videos, I've seen blogs, I've seen threads that women have literally wrote. And a lot of women have stated that they will forego a good guy that is, in a sense, the perfect or the ideal guy in order to get their backs broken, in order to get laid out, in order to get matized by what it is that the guy has. But a lot of women can't be honest on the fact of that that's just what they want from a guy. They don't want anything else. They just want that main specific thing from a guy, and their world is pretty much perfect. But like I said before, again, that comes into the effect of women not being specifically honest about the things that they actually want or are seeking from a guy, and they decide to just pin it on the guy as if he's the problem. The one main thing that I will sit up there and state is that it is a blessing that she skipped out on this guy, because he would have more than likely been miserable for his whole life trying to chase the goal of making her happy, when realistically he didn't have any type of chance in making her happy. I'm pretty sure if Jesus came down, if she's a religious woman that's a part of the faith, I'm pretty sure if Jesus came down right now to be the perfect ideal guy directly for her, she would still turn down Jesus. And there's a lot of women out there like that. And then they turn around and wonder, why are guys not interested in them? Why are they consistently single? Why their friends are out here dating or are engaged or are married? Or better yet, you have some women complaining and wondering why it is that all of these other women are able to snatch up the guys that they are specifically looking for that are of their community, or why it is that these guys are getting passports or going other places. This is part of that reason. This is part of that reason. And a lot of women aren't going to understand it because they aren't men. And because at the end of the day, somebody has to be the bad guy. And 9 times out of 10, women are not going to ever admit when they're wrong, or when their ideas of whatever fantasy that it is are just not reachable. Right? So the woman has to always be right, has to be the good guy, and the guy always has to be the bad guy, even when, in this example for this video, the woman stated that he is perfect pretty much everywhere. 99.9% of everything that she wanted, that guy has. It was just that 1%. She just couldn't put her nose on it, just couldn't put her finger on it, really couldn't pronounce it. It was just that one thing that shut the whole thing down. But yet you got women online talking about, oh, it has to do with, spirituality and all of these other types of things and yada, yada, yada. I guess so. I guess so. I guess some of the most spirited women out here have some of the utmost bodies in some graves.